Hello string techies, welcome back. In today's video, I'm going to show you some of my favorite techniques for practicing a flexible vibrato. The internet is full of good advice about how to practice vibrato, and I think it's great to investigate different strategies and methods. As is usually the case with StringTECH, my focus is going to be on building a healthy way for the body to play. So for vibrato, that will involve learning to keep all of the tissues surrounding the uppermost part of the body frame, that's the collarbone, shoulders, shoulder blades, upper back, no more engaged than is necessary to create a warm oscillation in the fingering. I'll be demonstrating some practice techniques here for upper strings, but I think they can be easily adapted for cellos. So a question that comes up pretty frequently in StringTECH is, should I be doing a wrist vibrato or an arm vibrato? And I think it's kind of a funny question because I'm not really sure you can separate out the different parts of your body to that degree. It's a little bit like asking, which part of my leg does walking happen in? The knee, the hip, or the ankle? Now, I think you can ask, where is my vibrato initiated? And where you initiate your vibrato will probably depend on what kind of sound you're after. But my take on where the vibrato happens is that it's always a combination of all the different parts of your arm acting in flow. Vibrato creates an oscillation in the angle that the finger approaches the string. No matter what school of playing we come from, it's generally agreed that vibrato oscillates below the pitch center. So in other words, we don't vibrate around the pitch that we want to play, but up against it. To oscillate below a given pitch center, we slightly flatten out the first knuckle on the finger. Remember, we're looking for the least effortful way to do this, and most people find that a gentle impulse in the forearm gives ample result by the time it reaches the finger. My wrist here is largely neutral, allowing the little expansion and contraction of the elbow to travel through the wrist and oscillate the finger. As the finger is a fixed point in the chain of movement, the knuckle bridge and wrist will need to be soft and elastic, able to transfer the oscillation into the finger. But this is not the same thing as vibrating from the wrist or the knuckle. Rather, any wobble in the wrist or the knuckle is a result of their being disengaged and able to conduct movement from forearm to finger. What we'd really like to avoid when we vibrate is interrupting the line of flow by artificially activating the wrist, either by overextending the wrist and having to vibrate forward into the pitch, or by jerking the wrist backwards. In both cases, this breaks the chain of movement from the forearm into the finger by over-engaging the wrist. So when we vibrate, one of the things we want to watch out for is that we're not squeezing into the instrument with the shoulder here, if we're a cellist, activating the upper arm or winging out with the shoulder blade too much in order to get traction to have the vibrato oscillation. Ideally, we'd like to just kind of be neutral here across the collarbone and the top of the shoulder blades and allow the arms to just sort of hang off the body frame from the shoulders. So to get used to feeling these neutral shoulders, we can practice activating our arms in a gentle oscillation without feeling that the shoulders are coming up, forward, or back, being engaged here across the whole top of our body. Just moving our arms like this. Sometimes we are not aware of tension we are carrying. So it can be instructive to take some time to feel how the body moves when tissues are disengaged. This little exercise can show us what it feels like for our wrists to oscillate as a result of a movement higher in the arm, as opposed to a movement that comes from the wrists. It's really worth taking just a little bit of time to pay attention to the difference between these movements. So then, trying to keep the same neutrality across the top of the body, we can take something like the playing posture. I actually find it helpful to do this with both arms, even though I won't ever be vibrating with my right hand, because it gives a sense of symmetry across the body. Some people find it helpful to actually grasp their forearm and gently help the oscillation, paying attention to how the wrist responds. I think of my wrist here as like a little bobblehead toy that sits in your car. It responds to the movement around it, but always returns to center in balance. It's also helpful here to notice that your wrist won't be able to disengage if you're really tensed in the upper arm. You can experiment with moving attention around your body to find the most comfortable chain of movements for you. So pretty soon we're going to want to get this movement onto the instrument. And in order to retain the softness that we've been developing in the wrist, we're going to need two things. One is a good sense of connection from the thumb to the neck. And two is a flexibility and elasticity here in the tissues that connect the thumb to the rest of the hand. So you can try this little exercise in 3 steps. Step 1, take a solid connection between the thumb and the neck and hear that connection. You can enjoy the fact that the squishy soft part of your thumb makes a nice resonant sound against the neck of the instrument when it's connected. 2, keeping this connection, try to bring back some of the natural oscillation from the previous exercise. Three, allow the fingers to rest on the string in a harmonic pressure and move in an imprecise manner, so we're not yet focusing on any specific pitch. Once again, I'm enjoying hearing the sound of my contact with the instrument, the sound that the fingers make, kind of stroking up and down the string, while prioritizing finding the feeling of elastic oscillation. So I'm really not going for any kind of precise pitch or sound yet. This is about how this movement feels in my body. Then at last, we can introduce full finger pressure into the string. I think it's good to do this very gradually because it lets us keep some focus on the whole body as we go. So I like to introduce the finger pressure very slowly from harmonic until the string is fully depressed. So as you can hear in this example, I'm really allowing my sound to journey through all the stages between harmonic and full pitch, keeping focus on the feeling of the vibrato along my whole arm and into my shoulder blade. So for the moment, I'm giving myself permission not to totally control the sound I'm making. As I do this exercise a few times, I can begin to explore the sound of my vibrato more deliberately. I suggest not taking too rigid an approach to the speed or the width of the vibrato just yet. So for instance, I wouldn't set a metronome and try to do a certain number of oscillations per beat. Rather, I'd just treat this as an exploration of your vibrato. Vary the speed and width, explore a little faster, a little slower, a little narrower, a little wider, and experiment with the technique. So I hope you will all find these techniques useful as you explore an approach to vibrato that is both flexible and sustainable for the body. If you have any specific areas of technique which you would like me to address in these StringTECH videos, please feel free to get in touch with me. And until next time, happy practicing!